There are moments in life when one feels the weight of unseen forces, harsh words, ill intentions, silent envy moving like shadows across the heart. Many seek to fight these forces, to push them away, or to return harm with harm. But there is a deeper path, a quieter strength, where nothing needs to be forced and yet everything is transformed. Imagine the mind as a still lake. When stones are thrown into it, the surface ripples. If the lake struggles against the disturbance, it only creates more chaos. But if it remains deep and undisturbed, the ripples fade on their own. In the same way, negative energy only finds power when it is received, held, and believed. Without acceptance, it has nowhere to stay. What is sent with anger carries the burden of anger. What is sent with jealousy carries the fire of jealousy. These things are not gifts, they are weights. And if you do not pick them up, they remain with the one who sent them. This is the natural law, quiet and unbreakable. To return to sender is not an act of revenge. It is an act of non-reception. It is the art of allowing things to pass through you without leaving a mark. Like the wind moving through an open field, it comes and goes, but nothing is disturbed. When the mind is trained in awareness, it begins to see clearly. A harsh word is heard but not absorbed. A negative intention is sensed but not feared. There is a gentle understanding, this does not belong to me. And in that moment, the chain is broken. Compassion plays a powerful role here. When you recognize that those who send negativity are often burdened themselves, lost in confusion, pain, or ignorance, you no longer feel the urge to resist or retaliate. Instead, there is a quiet release. Their energy returns to them not because you sent it back, but because you never claimed it. This is the shield that requires no effort. It is not built with force, but with awareness. It is not strengthened by anger, but by stillness. The more you rest in clarity, the less anything can disturb you. Silence becomes your protection. Presence becomes your strength. And what once seemed like attacks now pass by like distant echoes, unable to touch the center of your being. In this way, nothing harmful can stay with you unless you hold it. And when you choose not to hold it, everything returns to where it came from naturally, effortlessly, and completely. Negative energy only affects you if you accept it. Without your acceptance, it has no place to stay. Negative energy only affects you if you accept it, and without your acceptance, it has no place to stay. This truth is subtle, yet it carries a deep transformation for the way one experiences life. In everyday existence, countless thoughts, emotions, and intentions move around us like invisible currents. Some are gentle and supportive, while others are heavy, disturbed, or harmful. Yet none of these forces can truly become part of your inner world unless the mind reaches out and holds them. The mind is not a passive container, it is an active participant in shaping experience. What it clings to becomes reality, and what it releases loses its influence. When a harsh word is spoken, it travels through the air and reaches the ear. But between hearing and believing lies a sacred space of awareness. In that space, one has a choice to accept the word as truth, or to observe it as a passing sound. If it is accepted, it takes root and grows, shaping emotions, reactions, and even identity. If it is not accepted, it remains only sound without power to harm. In this way, suffering is not created by the world alone, but by the mind's relationship with what it encounters. Negative energy behaves in the same manner. It seeks attention, reaction, and attachment. When it is met with resistance or emotional entanglement, it becomes stronger within one's experience. But when it is met with awareness and non-attachment, it dissolves naturally, like mist disappearing in morning light. The key is not to fight it, because fighting implies engagement. Instead, it is to recognize its presence without absorbing its weight. This does not mean becoming indifferent or disconnected from life. Rather, it means cultivating a clear seeing that distinguishes between what arises and what is truly yours. Many thoughts and feelings that pass through the mind are not personal possessions. They are temporary formations shaped by environment, memory, and interaction. When one mistakenly identifies with them, they become heavy and binding. But when one observes them as passing events, their influence weakens. There is also a deeper wisdom in understanding that acceptance is often unconscious. People absorb negativity not because they want to, but because they have not trained awareness to notice the moment of contact. Over time, the mind becomes reactive, automatically believing, reacting, and internalizing. Through mindful presence, this pattern begins to loosen. One starts to see, this is entering my awareness, but I do not need to take it in. In that recognition, freedom is born. Like a clear sky receiving clouds, yet never becoming the clouds, the mind retains its original nature when it does not cling. Clouds may appear dark or light, fast or slow, but they do not stain the sky. In the same way, negativity may arise in one's field of experience, but it does not define the essence of awareness unless it is held. Thus, the greatest protection is not resistance but clarity, not control but understanding. When nothing is accepted blindly, nothing can take root. And in that state of inner space, life flows freely, untouched by what passes through it. Return to sender is not revenge, but the practice of not absorbing harmful intentions or emotions. Return to sender is not revenge, but the practice of not absorbing harmful intentions or emotions. It is a subtle inner discipline that transforms the way one relates to the world. Most people believe protection means building walls, resisting attacks, or sending energy back with force. But in deeper understanding, true protection has nothing to do with struggle. It is about awareness so refined that nothing harmful is taken inside in the first place. What is not taken in does not need to be sent back. Life continuously brings contact words, gestures, expressions, and intentions. Some are rooted in kindness, others in confusion, pain, or ignorance. When these forces meet an untrained mind, they often enter unnoticed and begin to shape thoughts and emotions. A single insult can linger for days, a look of dislike can become a story in the mind, and the energy of others can quietly influence one's mood. This happens not because these forces are powerful, but because the mind unknowingly accepts them as personal. The idea of returning something implies that it was first received, but the deeper practice is to not receive it as identity in the first place. When awareness is present, there is a clear recognition. This belongs to the outer world, not to my inner being. In that recognition, the chain of reaction breaks. There is no emotional attachment, no internal conflict, and therefore nothing to return. This state is not coldness or detachment from humanity. It is clarity. One can still hear, still see, still understand, but without absorption. It is like standing near a river and watching leaves float past. You do not need to catch them, stop them, or push them away. They simply pass. In the same way, thoughts and energies from others can pass through your field without becoming part of your inner reality. When harm is met with resistance, it often multiplies. Resistance creates tension, and tension creates entanglement. But when harm is met with awareness, it loses its anchor. It cannot grow where there is no inner agreement. This is the essence of non-participation. You are present but not entangled. You are aware but not consumed. There is also wisdom in understanding that most negative intentions are not deeply personal. They are often reflections of someone else's internal struggle. People project what they carry within. When this is seen clearly, the urge to retaliate fades. Instead of becoming a participant in their disturbance, you remain centered in your own clarity. In this way, the energy naturally returns to its origin, not through action but through non-acceptance. This practice becomes stronger with mindfulness. The more one observes the movement of thoughts and emotions, the easier it becomes to recognize what is entering the field of awareness. With time, a natural filter develops, not a forceful rejection, but a gentle discernment. What is unwholesome does not find a place to settle. In this understanding, protection is no longer something you do. It becomes something you are. A steady presence that does not cling, does not resist, and does not absorb what does not belong. And in that state, nothing harmful can remain, because nothing harmful is ever truly taken in. A calm and aware mind acts like a shield, allowing negativity to pass without disturbance. A calm and aware mind acts like a shield, allowing negativity to pass without disturbance. This shield is not made of resistance, force, or defense in the ordinary sense. It is made of understanding, clear, steady awareness that does not become confused by what arises. In daily life, countless experiences move toward the mind like waves: criticism, praise, blame, approval, hostility, and kindness. Each one tries to leave an impression. But the aware mind does not automatically become what it encounters. It observes first, responds later, and often finds that no reaction is needed at all. Most suffering begins when awareness is absent. When a harsh word is heard without mindfulness, it quickly becomes personal. The mind interprets it, repeats it, and builds an identity around it. What was only sound becomes a story. What was only an expression becomes a wound. But in a calm and aware state, there is a pause between experience and reaction. In that pause, freedom exists. One sees the event clearly without being pulled into it. This simple clarity acts like a natural protection. A shield formed by awareness is different from emotional armor. Emotional armor is heavy. It is built from past pain, fear, and expectation. It tries to block everything, but in doing so, it also blocks peace and openness. Awareness, however, does not block life. It allows everything to arise, but nothing to settle unnecessarily. It is open like space, yet untouched by what moves through it. Sounds can travel through space, storms can form within it, but space itself remains unchanged. In the same way, a calm mind allows experience without being altered by it. When negativity is directed toward a reactive mind, it finds entry points: fear, anger, insecurity, or pride. These become hooks that pull the mind inward into disturbance. But when the mind is stable and aware, there are no hooks to catch. The same words or actions pass through without landing. This is not because the external world has changed, but because the internal condition has shifted. The shield is not outside, it is the quality of attention itself. There is also a quiet strength in not needing to respond to everything. Many reactions arise from the belief that every action requires an equal emotional reply. But awareness reveals that silence is often more powerful than reaction. Silence is not emptiness, it is presence without disturbance. In that presence, negativity loses direction. It cannot grow in a space where it is not filled. Over time, this stability becomes natural. The mind learns that it does not need to follow every impulse or absorb every external vibration. It begins to rest in its own center like a flame that does not flicker even when winds pass around it. The world continues to move, but the center remains steady. In this way, the calm and aware mind does not fight negativity. It simply does not participate in it. And in that non-participation, there is protection more effective than any defense, because what is not engaged with cannot disturb what remains clear, grounded, and awake. Compassion helps you understand that those who send negativity are often suffering themselves, reducing the urge to react. Compassion plays a powerful role here. When you recognize that those who send negativity are often burdened themselves, lost in confusion, pain, or ignorance, you no longer feel the urge to resist or retaliate. Instead, there is a quiet release. Their energy returns to them not because you sent it back, but because you never claimed it. This understanding transforms the entire way one relates to harm, conflict, and emotional disturbance. In ordinary perception, harmful behavior appears personal. Someone speaks harshly and it feels like an attack directed at me. Someone acts with jealousy or anger, and it feels like a force that must be answered. But deeper observation reveals something different. Most negativity does not originate from clarity. It arises from inner suffering. People project what they carry inside, often without awareness. In that sense, negativity is less an attack and more a reflection of internal imbalance. When this is truly seen, the mind begins to soften. The need to defend identity weakens. Instead of reacting, there is understanding. Instead of anger, there is recognition. This does not mean approving harmful actions or ignoring boundaries. It means not allowing another person's inner disturbance to become your own. Compassion creates space between their condition and your awareness. In that space, something subtle happens. The emotional charge of the situation begins to dissolve. What once felt like a personal wound is now seen as an expression of someone else's confusion. And when it is no longer taken personally, it no longer binds. The energy that was directed outward finds no place to settle within you, so it naturally falls away. It returns to its origin simply because it was never adopted in the first place. This is why compassion is not weakness. It is clarity without entanglement. It allows you to remain open without becoming affected. A compassionate mind can see suffering without absorbing it. It can recognize pain without becoming pain. It can witness disturbance without becoming disturbed. This stability is not emotional distance, it is deep understanding. When compassion is present, the cycle of reaction breaks. Without compassion, harm often leads to more harm. One reaction creates another, and the chain continues endlessly. But compassion interrupts this chain. It does not feed the cycle with anger or fear. Instead, it offers space where reaction loses momentum. In that space, there is no need to return energy forcefully because nothing is being held. Over time, this way of seeing becomes natural. The mind stops interpreting every negative action as a threat and starts recognizing it as a condition. Just as one would not become angry at fire for burning, one does not take every expression of ignorance as a personal attack. This shift in understanding creates immense inner freedom. Compassion in its deepest sense is not something directed outward alone. It also protects the one who practices it, because when the heart does not harden into resistance, it remains clear, light, and undisturbed. And in that clarity, negativity finds no place to remain. It completes its movement without leaving a trace, returning naturally to where it arose, while the mind stays steady in understanding. Inner stillness and presence naturally dissolve external negativity, keeping your peace untouched. Inner stillness and presence naturally dissolve external negativity, keeping your peace untouched. This stillness is not emptiness in the ordinary sense, nor is it withdrawal from life. It is a state of awareness that is so centered that external movements no longer disturb the core. Life continues to flow around it, words are spoken, actions occur, emotions rise and fall, but the inner foundation remains steady, like a deep ocean that is unaffected by the waves on its surface. In most experiences of life, the mind is constantly pulled outward. It reacts to sounds, interprets situations, forms judgments, and creates stories. This constant movement makes it vulnerable to disturbance. When negativity arises from others, a reactive mind immediately engages with it. It analyzes, resists, defends, or absorbs. In that engagement, peace is often lost. The disturbance is not in what is happening outside alone, but in how quickly the mind becomes entangled with it. Inner stillness changes this pattern completely. It introduces a space between stimulus and response. In that space, awareness simply observes. A harsh word may be heard, but it is not immediately believed. A negative expression may be seen, but it is not instantly absorbed. Instead, it is recognized as movement in the external field of experience. Because it is seen clearly, it does not need to become internal reality. Presence is the key to this transformation. To be present means to be fully aware of what is happening now, without being pulled into past memories or future fears. When presence is strong, the mind is no longer scattered. It rests in direct experience rather than interpretation. In that resting, external negativity loses its ability to create internal disturbance. It passes through awareness like sound passing through open space. This is why stillness is often described as protective, even though it does nothing actively to block or resist. It is protective because it does not engage unnecessarily. What is not engaged with cannot develop further influence. Negativity requires participation, attention, emotion, identification to grow. Without these, it fades naturally. It may appear, but it cannot remain. As stillness deepens, a subtle shift occurs in perception. The boundary between me and what happens to me becomes clearer. Experiences are no longer seen as personal attacks, but as temporary events arising in awareness. This clarity removes the emotional weight that usually comes with external negativity. What once felt heavy becomes light because it is no longer interpreted as something solid or permanent. Over time, this way of being becomes effortless. The mind does not need to constantly defend itself because it no longer assumes everything requires a reaction. Peace is no longer something fragile that must be protected. It becomes the natural background of experience. Even in the presence of disturbance, the center remains untouched. In this way, inner stillness is not something that fights negativity, but something that renders it powerless through non-engagement. Presence does not push anything away, it simply remains so clear and grounded that nothing external can disturb its nature. And in that quiet stability, peace is not created moment by moment, it is simply recognized as what was always there, unbroken and untouched.